Hey, this is RJ Mini, and you're watching Mr. Mario 2011.
Hey, what is going on, everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and right here we have a Nintendo 64. I actually just picked this thing up, and I have a little story about it, so I'm going to try and tell this real quick. But if you don't want to hear, just go ahead and skip a little bit ahead in the video. Anyways, I am in a different town right now because I'm interning, as some of you might or might not know, for the summer. And essentially what happened was a few days ago this past weekend, I decided to look around at a few shops, and I'll go to a bunch of local game shops, thrift shops, all that stuff, and see what they had available. And I picked up some stuff at some places, and I saw this Nintendo 64 at a place, and it was marked for about $35 and some change. Now, I almost got it. The problem being, though, I did hold off on it because if you look right there at the serial number, it starts with NS2. Now, that might not be a big deal to many people, but I was wanting to RGB mod it without getting another board, and I actually, right here, have an RGB modded N64. You can't tell just by looking at it. Well, you might be able to. If you look inside, you'll see that blue cable right there. I was soldering to the composite input and output, I guess the composite port on there. So there is that one wire, and you can kind of see the board inside the little grate right there. But this one is already RGB modded, and it is an NS2 model, so I didn't really need another one. However, that one, I got a really good deal on that one right there, and I was wanting another controller so I could have, 4 controllers, because the Nintendo 64 has 4 controller ports. It's a great party system, all that good stuff. So what ended up happening was I thought about this system for a few days. Now, I looked up prices online. A controller, like a Nintendo controller right here, is about $12 to $15. This game right here came with the system, is about $5 online. So I said, you know what, for that price, I think it's okay because, let's say about that's $20. So for another few dollars, like for another $15, I can get the entire system with cables, which I thought was a good deal because I was seeing the entire system, not the entire system, but the system only go online for about $35. So I thought that was a good deal. So what ended up happening was I decided to go in and, check and see if the system was still there. I called up earlier that day, well, today, I guess, and I checked to see if the system was still available. It was still available. They couldn't hold it for me, so I had to rush over there after work, which that didn't really work out too well. But I went over there, I saw the system. It was about $35, as I said. But then when I got to the counter, because I asked for the system, they rang it up for me. After tax, with everything included, it was $6.97. Now, that's American. Now, some people might be asking why it was that low. Well, first off, they couldn't even get the price right on the actual sticker. I don't have the sticker with me, but it was so sloppily written on there, so they couldn't even get the price correct. There's also a lot of discrepancies because if you look on the bottom of the system right there, it says $25.47. So at one point, this was $10 cheaper, but then if you looked at the sticker, they wrote like N64, and there was some scribbling after that, so it looked like it could have been like $6.47 or $6.97. So the person rang it up as that. I didn't say anything. I held all of my excitement. I just went stone-faced. I immediately paid. I hoped she wouldn't recognize the issue or anything, and then I got out of the store. So I was able to get the N64 with the cables that you don't see, this game right here, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, and a controller for about $7, which, can't be beat. Now, why am I doing this video right here? I just wanted to talk about how I got it. I'm doing this video because I also wanted to try and see how a N64 would hold up, or how, I guess, cleaning a system in a dishwasher would hold up. Now, some of you all might be thinking this is a whole troll video. I promise it's not. And I'm not going to clean the actual PCB. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take apart the system. I'm not going to use the cartridge right here, but I'm going to take apart the entire system. I'm only going to clean up the shell and everything, so the plastic bits. The console itself, so the innards like the PCB and the heat shielding and all that, those are not going to get cleaned. Even for an N64, you really don't need to clean them. I'm not going to put those in the dishwasher. I'm going to put only the plastic pieces in the dishwasher, and I'll probably do the same with the controller. So I'll keep out the PCB, but I'll clean up, the buttons and everything else, but I'm not going to, keep the wire in there or anything like that. So that's what we're going to be doing. I've never tried the dishwasher method here, anything like that. But a few things, I did look it up. I know it's been practiced quite common, and the first time I ever heard about it was years ago when I was trying to refurbish my Sega Genesis. There was actually a guy who was showing how to fix them and clean it up and everything, and he took the plastic pieces of the shell and cleaned them in the dishwasher. So I looked it up, and I was reading that it's not recommended. It's fine in the dishwasher, but people did not use heated dry. So it's a little bit dirty and all that, and I just want to see how this would work out. Mainly due to the fact that this is mainly for like people who, you know, they might feel like limited by their day or something, or they don't have that much free time, anything like that. So I'm going to see, you know, how well this lazier method works. I mean, yes, using a dishwasher, it does use more water, more resources, you know, and all that, but for example, you could take apart your console, put it in the dishwasher, and when you leave to work, just run your dishwasher and come back. So we're going to try that. The only hard part is, honestly, if you're looking at the system right here, the system itself is actually in really good condition. I barely see any scuffs, and it's just a little bit dirty. But I haven't tried to clean it. I haven't tried anything like that on this system itself. So this is just the bare system. So what we're going to do, as I said, we're going to take this thing apart. We're going to go ahead and clean it up right here. All right, so as you all can see, we have pretty much the battlefield right here. This is these are all the little plastic, not plastic, but little pads for the buttons and everything for the controller. So we have the pads, we have the controller PCB right there in case anyone is interested. So I'm just going to actually go ahead, put that on the floor here real quick. And then we have the controller with several buttons and all that. The rest of the controller shell right there. So as you can see, it is kind of dirty and everything. And this will be one nice thing. I'm actually really interested to see how well this is going to clean the controller, because I mean, if you can like look at the side of that, controllers are normally pretty nasty, especially like where you grip them with your hands and everything. I mean, they're nasty. So if you're a kid, you're nasty. I'm just saying. But yeah, so we have that right there. Then we have the N64 right there. So that is the whole shell. And we have the console itself right here. Now, I didn't take off the metal shielding or anything like that. I have it on both sides, actually. But yeah, I don't have really, it's only a little bit dusty, that's it. And especially since this thing doesn't have any mechanical or moving parts, there's really not that much of a reason to clean it, especially with all the shielding. I guarantee if I opened up the thing all the way, the thing would still look brand new, honestly, the motherboard itself. So yeah, we go ahead, we have everything right here. So I'm just going to go ahead, keep all the screws, all that intact. And then, let's see, with these, you know, I really don't feel like taking off the little springs right here, and these don't get super dirty. It's fine. So this is where like your cartridge goes and everything. These two pieces I'm going to keep out, but everything else that's plastic, so like the buttons, the controller shell, the shell right here for the console, I'm going to be washing all that. And by the way, for anybody wondering what might happen to the stickers themselves, like the serial number sticker and the Nintendo 64 sticker, they'll be fine. They can withstand water and soap and all that. It's fine. I'm also interested to see if the 2547 comes off, because I believe that's Sharpie. So yeah, we're going to check all that out. As I said, I have not attempted to clean this at all. All I did was show you all and take it apart. So let's go ahead and load up the dishwasher. Okay, so as you all can see, the only things I did not put in are the little buttons and the little glacier type looking thing for the LED on the console itself, just due to the fact that I was thinking they would probably fly around everywhere in the dishwasher. They might get lost, stuck somewhere, whatever it is. So these ones I'm just going to wash by hand. No big deal. It's all good. This is going to be more for the bigger pieces. So as you all can see right there, I have both halves of the N64 console, both halves of the controller shell right there, and then I have like the little legs for the console, the little, what am I trying to say? Just like the little flaps and everything, I guess, put all in on the side. Yep, I have everything right there. So like the extension port, all that. Then I have my cup and some cutlery right there, just because, you know, I'm washing the dishes. So there's all that. I'm just going to go ahead, load this in, throw in some detergent as well. Now, I did get cheap detergent, not gonna lie, just because I'm really only gonna be here for the summer, and the detergent I got was like $3. So I'm using liquid detergent, if that makes any difference, but it cleans up everything well, but not like super shiny well. But this is all plastic, so it really doesn't matter to me, honestly. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just load this in, and I'll show you all what I'm gonna do here soon. Alright, so for my dishwasher settings right here, I have it set to normal wash, and I'm going to have heated dry off. I'm picking normal wash just because we're going to be just doing a normal wash here. Heavy wash is for pots and pans and water saver. I mean, I want to see how this looks with a normal wash and everything. And then heated dry, I've been advised online, I've looked online, people who have cleaned systems in the dishwasher and all that have said don't use heat just because it can destroy the actual, console itself. Well, not the console, but the plastic for the console and everything. I thought about it because I do have plastic plates that can handle just fine in here, but I don't really feel like risking it. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and set to normal, turn off the heat to dry, and let's go ahead and start washing. Alright, so like an hour and a half or so later, I've kind of lost track of time and everything. Wasn't really paying attention because I don't know how long this thing runs actually. But everything is clean now, so as you can see, it's all wet and all that. But first off, I did examine it a little bit. Now, my dishwasher still went through a drying phase, and I was a little bit nervous because some heat kind of came off everything. But I checked, and it wasn't super hot like it normally is with my dishes. For example, if I was holding this, if I had heated dry on, this would be really hot to the touch. But it used a little bit of heat, but once it was completely done, because I opened it a third of the way through the drying cycle, it seemed fine, so I closed it, let it resume. But I checked it, everything seemed to be fine. So far, honestly, the console looks really nice. It feels nice, it feels really clean, it looks great. As you can see, the stickers were undamaged for anybody who might have been worried about, the stickers getting messed up, anything like that. So yeah, the console itself looks fine. Now, because of all the little components flying around everywhere, all that, the only component I see... okay, had to get in front of the camera for that, probably looked all awkward. But just the little tray for the expansion pack. So would that be... yeah, the memory expansion. So that's the only thing. So it kind of got thrown in there, but that's why I knew at least one thing would get thrown. So we have that. We'll put that over there. And then as for the controllers themselves, I'm actually really impressed with these as well too. So I'm not sure if you all can see how well you can see, but the controller looks really good. Now it does have these scuffs, but anything that was in the Nintendo logo is now gone. The scuffs, I mean, I wouldn't be able to get them out unless I, sand them down, anything like that. But then the thing I was impressed with is all the dirt and the residue and the grime that's on the side of controllers. That's all gone. Normally what I do is I have a video where I show how to thoroughly clean a controller. I normally make a bath for them, in my kitchen sink, and then I use a bunch of dishwashing soap, and then I use a old toothbrush, and I just go in and, clean up everything. So this method, the lazy method so far works out really well, because while I was actually washing, I kind of thought about it, and I was like, I think this would almost be even better than the method I use where I actually clean everything by hand, because normally if I clean everything by hand, I'm detailed, but this is it's detailed, and plus it's pretty much power washing the entire system and all the little components and just blasting them with hot water. So I think it worked out really well. The only difference is, as I said, I actually use, dishwashing detergent on here. So maybe for some plastics it might differ, but honestly, these controllers, I know they've been through a lot worse because kids have owned them. They've been through so much worse than a little bit of hot water and some dishwashing soap. You got to think of it like that. So that controller shell looks just fine. Here's the other side. Now, I'm actually surprised that the Z button did not pop out. It stayed there. And if it came out, that no big deal, honestly. I could have put it back. But even this looks real nice as well, too. There's no grime, no residue. It's completely clean. Aside from doing any cosmetic changes, this is the cleanest I can get this controller, so that's really nice. And then everything else, for example, these things right here, as you can see, there's some water lodged in them. And then especially the legs. There's a lot of water still positioned in the legs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out everything, and I'm just going to lay down on a towel for a day or two, and just let it air dry that way, because that's what I would do with the system anyways. But honestly, so far, I'm really happy with the results. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let everything dry. I'm going to put the system and the controller back together, and then I'll show you all the final results. Hey, so what is going on, everyone? It has been about 24 hours, and as you can see right here, this N64 controller is incomplete. The reason why it is incomplete is because I was going to put it all back together, but for anybody who has ever cleaned a controller thoroughly and completely knows that the buttons take, and thank you, my fridge has to turn on in the middle of this. They know that the buttons take forever to dry, and the insides of the buttons are still wet. So I'm going to wait another day on those, but I wanted to show you all at least part of the controller right here. So this is the controller, all nice and dry. I mean, this is 90% of the controller, 90+% of the controller right here. As you can see, it's all dry. It feels super clean. It has a nice shine to it as well too. And honestly, I'm sure it could look even better if I used, you know, better detergent and everything. But that's that. We have this part right here as well, so the bottom half of the controller shell, and it looks great. I'm really impressed with it. So, as I said, you know, I got the insides of it as well too. Well, the dishwasher got them. So, normally, as I said, I normally go in and just clean them up with an old toothbrush, but I didn't have to do that. It completely power washed everything, all that junk out of the controller shell itself. But I do have the console put back together, and minus some smudges that I got on the system, and actually you could see like my smudges where I was touching it, it looks pretty good. And now there are a few like soap spots and everything. That's because, as I said, I use cheap detergent, but honestly it feels really clean. With all those spots, you could really just, I guess, like really once over it with like a light cloth, or, you know, spray a little Windex and clean it off. But it feels really nice. It's clean. As I said, this has a little bit of a shine to it too. The only thing was, I was disappointed a bit. The permanent marker did not come off on here, so the 2547 is still on there. However, these stickers, as I said, are still intact, and this has been this cleaned it very, very well. Aside from, you know, I'm one of those people, I leave my marks on places literally. So no, I'm actually very impressed with this. So this is really a good method if, you know, you're busy or you want to be lazy with it. Now, a few things. One, I would recommend if you're doing dishes, clean off all the clean off the food on the dishes. Just clean that off. Another thing would be also, as I said, don't run heat on there. But in addition to everything on there, just be sure that you have a good amount of time and everything, just so you can actually adequately run the dishwasher and everything. Because I know there's some people that you might complain about wasting water or anything like that. Really, it's not that much of a waste of water if you adequately fill up the dishwasher. So, I mean, if you have some extra space along with your dishes, you might as well throw a system in there. And I actually read online, I don't advocate this, but I read online that you could actually throw the PCB in there as long as you don't heat it, like the actual console itself, but you have to let it dry for like a week or two, because apparently, I mean, this seems believable, but actually like a lot of electronics repair shops have done that in the past, and really it's water that hits live electronics as opposed to water that hits electronics that are off that kills it. But I wouldn't really recommend doing that. I'd rather just stick to my isopropyl alcohol for the actual console itself. But for the actual, you know, like the shell and the casing, I'm very impressed with how it all looks. Like, it feels clean, everything, and this is great for like doing 10% of the work that I normally do. As I said, I took the system apart, I put it all in the dishwasher, cleaned it, I took it out, put it on a towel for a day, and this is the result. Normally I have to like run a bath, and I have to go like run a bath like in my sink. I have to clean everything, as I said, you know, with soap and, you know, maybe like a sponge and a toothbrush and all that, and get real down and dirty in there. But no, this is like 10-15% of the normal input and, you know, stuff that I do, and I was able to clean the system. So I think it was a good method. I really do, and I would recommend this, honestly, although I don't take any responsibility for anything damaged or anything like that. But yeah, the system is working. It looks good. It feels good. We're good to go on all this. So, as I said, the system was already in good condition, but now it's all nice and clean. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone. Hope this video helped you all out, and hope this was entertaining.